When Big Shaq stepped into his own restaurant, disguised as a homeless man, he believed he would witness the outstanding service and respect he had worked so hard to build. Instead, what he experienced was humiliation. The staff had no idea they had just disrespected the very man responsible for their jobs, the man who built the empire they worked for. And now, it was time for a reckoning. Sitting in his private office, Shaq stared at the stack of anonymous complaint letters scattered across his mahogany desk. Each one told the same disturbing story: discrimination inside his restaurant, Shaq's Kitchen. Customers claimed that staff members warmly welcomed well-dressed, wealthy guests but treated those who appeared less fortunate with cold indifference. Even worse, multiple reports specifically mentioned that black diners were often ignored, subtly pressured to leave, or given subpar service. Shaq couldn't believe it. He had built Shaq's Kitchen as a high-end restaurant, but never as an exclusive one. His goal had always been to create a space where anyone, regardless of race, background, or financial status, could enjoy a fine dining experience. But if these letters were true, then his dream had twisted into a nightmare. Had his restaurant become just another elitist playground for the privileged? Leaning back in his chair, he took a deep breath, his thoughts swirling. Firing employees based on complaints alone wasn't his style. If there was a problem, he had to see it with his own eyes. And then, like a lightning strike, the idea hit him. What if he went undercover? A slow smirk crept across Shaq's face. That was the only way to uncover the truth. He wasted no time. Within minutes, he had called in Marcus, his longtime friend and personal stylist. "I need you to make me look like a homeless man," Shaq said, folding his arms. Marcus blinked, his brow furrowed. Come again." "You heard me. Old clothes, messy hair, maybe even a fake beard," Shaq clarified. "I need to see what's really happening inside my restaurant. And I can't walk in as Big Shaq." Marcus let out a low whistle. "Man, this is some real undercover boss-level stuff. You sure about this?" Shaq didn't hesitate. "I'm not just sure, I'm determined." An hour later, he barely recognized himself in the mirror. Marcus had worked his magic. A scruffy, unkempt beard, faded jeans full of holes, a stained hoodie, and a pair of worn-out sneakers. To complete the disguise, Marcus smudged dirt on Shaq's face and hands, making him look like someone who had slept on the streets for days. Shaq adjusted his hood, examining himself. "This is perfect." Marcus chuckled, shaking his head. Yeah. Just don't forget who you really are when they start treating you like trash." Shaq's jaw tightened. That was exactly what he feared. That evening, he stood outside Shaq's Kitchen, taking in the sight of his restaurant from an entirely new perspective. It was breathtaking. Polished glass doors, golden lighting, the mouth-watering aroma of grilled steak and fresh herbs drifting into the night air. It was the kind of place that made people feel important just by walking inside. But the real question was, who got to feel important? Taking a deep breath, Shaq stepped through the doors. The shift in atmosphere was instant. At the front podium, a tall, blonde hostess in a sleek black dress greeted a well-dressed white couple with a beaming smile. Her voice warm and welcoming as she guided them to their seats. Behind her, the restaurant was alive. Glasses clinking, laughter filling the air, waiters balancing trays of gourmet meals. Then Shaq stepped forward. The moment the hostess laid eyes on him, her smile vanished. Her blue eyes flicked up and down his appearance, scanning his ragged clothes, her posture stiffening. Her lips pressed into a thin, disapproving line. Shaq recognized that look. It was the look of someone who had already decided he didn't belong. "Can I help you?" she asked, her voice colder than before. Shaq nodded. "Yeah. I'd like a table for one." She didn't move. Instead, she hesitated, glancing over her shoulder as if waiting for backup. "Are you sure? This is an upscale restaurant." Shaq felt his stomach tighten. "Here we go." "I'm aware," he replied evenly. "I'd still like a table." The hostess hesitated again. Slowly, she reached for a menu, but instead of handing it to him, she frowned. You do know our meals aren't exactly budget-friendly, right? Shaq raised an eyebrow. Are you saying I can't afford it? Her lips parted slightly, caught off guard. No. Of course not, I just... Excuse me, a new voice interrupted. But we're in a hurry. Could you seat us first? A middle-aged white man in a sharp gray suit appeared beside Shaq, his well-dressed wife clinging to his arm. The hostess immediately turned to them, her expression brightening. Of course, sir. Right this way. She completely ignored Shaq. His fists clenched. He had dealt with judgment, racism, and stereotypes before. But to be brushed aside in his own restaurant, his blood boiled. Still, he didn't react. Not yet. He quietly moved to a bench near the entrance and sat down, watching the restaurant operate around him. And what he saw, it disgusted him. A young black couple waited at the podium for 10 minutes, while white customers were seated immediately. A Latino man in a construction uniform was given a table near the kitchen, far from the prime window seats given to wealthy-looking guests. A black waiter looked nervous while serving an expensive table, probably scolded too many times before. And the worst part, no one batted an eye. Shaq had seen enough. His anger burned deep, but he wasn't done yet. If the front-of-house staff acted this way, what about the waiters? He pushed himself up and walked toward an open table. As soon as he sat down, a tall, slim waiter with slicked-back hair sneered at him. You can't just sit wherever you want, the man said, crossing his arms. Shaq met his gaze. I'd like to order. The waiter sighed dramatically. Fine. What do you want? Shaq scanned the menu, pretending to hesitate. How about the ribeye steak? The waiter laughed. Short, mocking laugh. Yeah, I don't think that's in your price range, buddy. How about a side salad? Shaq's jaw locked. That was it. The test was over. Now, it was time for the real game to begin.